everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. We're a little bit late today because we were awaiting the patch notes. They are finally out. This patch should be going live today. It's saying it's a data only patch, so if you're on mobile, you shouldn't have to have a big download. And well, we're gonna go over every single nerf, every single buff. There's dev comments and all of that. I'll give my take as well. There's a lot to go over, so well, dial in, buckle up, get ready. And well, if you feel like I've earned your subscription, you want to help support the channel, it would also help out a lot if you hit the sub button down below, give the video a like. It helps us out a lot, especially as we're on the road to 69,420 subs. So basically we got this patch is only going to be a balance change. There's no by the looks of it, events, updates, anything like that. We will do a day one patch review tomorrow in case there's like new portraits in the shop or anything. So I'll keep you guys up to date on everything going on in the client other than, you know, the actual balance changes and all of that. But they have a dev comment of here, in general, our recent patch cadence has been faster than it has been in the past. This can make it more painful when updates are a little slower, such as around the holiday break period. We're discussing as a team how to make the patch schedule work a little bit better for future holidays. This is the first patch after the new March of Lich King expansion where we have enough data to make significant informed buffs to the new cards. See, they were just collecting data. Yeah, now that we have seen where the set's archetypes landed on power basis, we know where we can safely inject a bit of power. So I guess they didn't want to do buffs, there is what they're hinting at until now. But yeah, they're basically saying sorry for being so slow. So while upon Gnoll, we finally get the change that I wish would have happened so long ago, although I would have made it a 4-5, honestly. Basically, now Gnoll doesn't work with Maestra. It will be for each non-rogue class card you've added to your hand. Basically, this is like impossible to get out really fast now, right? Like even the jackpot, it goes down to 3. You know, you got to work for it a little bit for this payoff. It's not 0 mana on turn 2 with the potion belt. That won't work because those are rogue cards. So Maestra won't work. No dust refund on Maestra, I'm pretty sure. So that sucks. But yeah, I mean, this change should have happened a long time ago, but at least it happened. But I would have reverted to a 4-5, right? Like that's what originally was. And now that it's slower, I think that would have been safe, but I guess they didn't want to go down that road. Sinstone Graveyard now does not give stealth. That's another suggestion we've been making for a while. It's not to 4 mana, it's 3. You can now interact with the ghost. So screw flavor, the ghost having stealth or whatever. Yeah, if you can actually interact with it. So you could still snowball and have gigantic, huge minions that a lot of classes can't deal with. But at least, yeah, they're not stealth, so that's good. Dev comment, we recognize that Rogue has been a little too good for a little too long at higher ranks. The change to Gnoll Meister interaction is a major change to the class and to substantially shake up how it looks and plays while Sinstone Graveyard changes opponents. Gives opponents more of a chance to respond to the big Rogue pop-off turns. I still anticipate Rogue to be very good. They have Trickster. I think this card is still really good because a lot of classes can't deal with that, you know, super large target. This card probably still sees play. And yeah, concoctions haven't been hit at all. Rogue's still gonna be fine and hopefully just a lot less frustrating to face, but we'll have to see. They still have Necrolord Draka people might just revert back to, which is 5 mana to get the big weapon. I wouldn't be too worried about Rogue. I anticipate Rogue to be pretty good. We have the final showdown, the Demon Hunter quest. Instead of 4 cards in one turn, the first will be 6 cards. You have to draw 2 extra cards now to get the first proc. And that's the only change to that card. The funny thing is though, if this is still reliable to hit, it's like a buff, right? Because you'll get 6 discounts, but that's a lot to draw in one turn at the very beginning. It should slow it down, but it just shows how problematic this quest is, right? Like they're not hitting the reward, they're not hitting the second part, they're literally just hitting the first part and like, let's hope this kills it. I hope it does too, but you never know. Like they have, you know, they have ways to draw. The only way to really draw 6 cards early, I guess, is the 1 mana draw spell for like tokens that have died. And that takes typically a discount to help speed it along. So I don't know if it's really going to be doable. I think the card's dead, honestly, but a little bit nervous, but yeah, I think they've killed it, and that's what they've tried to do. In Sinful Brand, as we had thought, is going from 1 mana to 2 mana, not messing with the damage. So again, makes it a bit slower. And what they say here is Demon Hunter is the other best performing class at high levels of play, so these changes are to adjust its power. Sinful Brand was chosen as a card to target, as it punishes opponents for simply playing the game. A play pattern we don't like being too powerful and prevalent. There's a lot of cards that punish you for playing the game. I might be copy pasting this dev comment in the future, because there's a lot of cards that feel that way in the current game. I'm not disagreeing with the nerf. I just feel like some of their design choices these days feel like it goes into that category. Shock Spitter going from 3 to 4 mana, also getting a stat boost. It's going to be a 3/3, so that's good. Again, it's Brand that's the real problem. But this card is disgusting, and at 4, it probably see play. It probably will still see play. Hunter is a top class at the top class at most parts of the ladder. When we changed Shock Spirit to 3 mana, we expected it to remain powerful. After that change, and debate whether we should just adjust it to 4. I'd suggested 4 at the time. I had, but they wanted to see how it goes. I understand it, but I'm gonna be like, yo, you should have made it 4, like I said. This guy's super smart. No, he's not. We decided that we didn't want to hit Hunter too hard all at once. Now that we've seen how the card performs at 3 mana, we think it can use another nudge, especially with the other top performers being adjusted around it. I still think it's playable, right? But you can't go Brand, Shock Spitter, or Shock Spitter. Actually, no, you can't. No, that's 11 mana, right? 3, 7, 11. So yeah, you got to hit a discount on it with the rush minion and all that. It's still probably playable. So I mean, yeah, it is what it is, right? Glacial Advance. So it does get nerfed, and they're taking 1 discount off of it. I was wondering if they would make it 4 mana or keep it at 3, so you could still get this off School Teacher. That's pretty relevant. This is a pretty good hit to get off School Teacher, but you can't cheat as much mana. So it's now effectively 2 mana deal 4, which is more in line with damage spells we've seen in the past, like the Warlock spell that would go face for 2 would also heal you though, and you had to hold a dragon for it. But this card, believe me, as someone who's almost at 1,500 Death Knight wins, I made the prediction on January 7th this card would get nerfed in the balance patch. It's just too good. It's just hard to tell, and I think this is more of a preemptive nerf, but I get it. I understand it, because this card, especially when you copy it, is just disgusting. Death Knight is performing well right now, so we wanted to slightly shave off some of its power to make sure it stays in line with the rest of the meta after the changes this patch. This adjustment takes a little bit of Dex Explosive Burst from hand capabilities. Again, it's a preemptive nerf. This card is still playable in my opinion. It's still good. It was completely busted before, and this is, again, someone who's biased, who likes playing Death Knight. I felt like this was probably a necessary change. And then the last nerf is Astalor. This one was like, how are they going to do it? And well, they did it on multiple levels. The Mana Thirst on the deal 2 damage is now 5. So you can't get the 2 damage until you have 5 mana. So that slows that down a little bit. The armor you can't get till you get 8 mana. So that slows that down as well. Makes it, you're a little bit more vulnerable to die. The armor amount's the same, but it's at 8 mana. So, rogues can't Shadow Step and gain armor as quickly, Shadow Step's not a problem. Again, Brand Shadow Step, how many cards have they killed without, actually getting hit? And then the big change is the 3rd phase. Instead of 16 damage, it will deal 14. So they took off 2 damage. So that is also relevant, especially when you start copying it up. It's still a lot of damage, but it's not as much. I guess if you're playing Druid and you play 3 of these, right? Or you play 2 of them with Bran, it's still going to kill your opponent, right? You got 28. Yeah, it's still going to murder them, but it's a little bit less. So I think the card's still very playable. It's completely busted. It's in over 70% of decks at Legend. It'll go down, but I think it's still a good card. I might be busted still, I don't know, but they definitely made significant adjustments to Mana Thirst changes and damage. It's got to make a difference, right? And players seem to really enjoy the power and flexibility of Astalor. At the same time, that power and flexibility has made Astalor near auto-include in almost every deck in the meta. These changes are designed to bring Astalor's power more in line with what we want from a neutral general purpose utility card like this. We still hope and expect that Astalor remains a powerful option for many decks, so players can continue to enjoy this card. I think it's reasonable. I think this card's going to see play. People will still probably get mad at it, but it's definitely worse, so we'll have to see how it plays out. And then they got a bunch of buffs here. We'll go over them, probably not as much detail, but Battlefield Necromancer. So the Footmans will now be 1/3s instead of 2/2s. That's a big deal. You get this on curve. You have a 2-mana 2/3 with a 1/3 taunt that can snowball. That's super significant. And in Wild, where even Unholy Death Knight is a really good deck. That's a buff to that deck. Astalor is a nerf to it, but that's not a big one. Astalor is not huge to that deck. This one's really good. This is one of the buffs that might actually do something. Bone Guard Commander as well will get 1/3 taunts. Probably way too slow. It's still 8 mana. It's a holy card. Again, Arena though. They just fixed Arena for Deathlight. I don't know if this breaks things again, but it's still Malignant, right? Unholy Frenzy goes from 3 to 2 mana as expected. That could be a buff again to even Unholy Deathlight in Wild, because it's 2 mana. You can play it, and yeah, this is a really good Arena card too. Really, that's an Arena. I think at 2 this is a really strong card. At 3 it did feel a little bit clunky. I think these 2 cards have a really good shot of making some room or headway in Standard even, and definitely in Wild. They're saying Blood and Unholy Deathlight are still underperforming in Standard. Deathlight is difficult to balance because individual cards within the class tend to be very strong, but we found a couple spots where we feel we could adjust a little bit of power to make individual cards more appealing. Wither goes from 2 mana to 1 mana, the Druid card, where you choose a minion, each friendly undead steals 1 attack and health from it. Hopefully they fix the achievement to go with it. You have to overkill with it by 1, but regardless, I mean, I don't think this is going to change anything for like the token undead druid. It just doesn't have the support. I don't think this does anything, but you never know. Bone Caller gets 5 health. This is a buff I thought that might happen. And this is a really good card that got better, so look out for that. Undead Priest isn't quite there, but this card was like a really good part of what was there. So it's like buffing a really good card is always scary, so we'll have to see. This could be really obnoxious. Haunting Nightmare gives you 4/3s all around. That's really solid, but it's still do nothing card. But it gets +1 attack on both forms, so that could be pretty good, and it's aggressive, right? So maybe this card pops up a little bit more. We'll have to see. This is insane, though. High Cultist Basilisk is now 4 mana. Like, that's really cheap. You can play your 1s and 2s and just spam this. Like, look out for Undead Priest. That 1 mana on their big legendary payoff, that is a big time buff. So Priest got some big help. Dracondra Thier is now 7 mana, same stats, same everything. So that's really good. This card actually, its played win rate was really solid, but everything else sucked about it. But 1 mana can make a big difference. So again, look out for this card, Warlock. I don't know, they could just run this package with Infantry Reanimator, which is also 1 mana cheaper. You run that as your only undead and bring it back. That can be absurdly good. Every time you connect that, you basically win the game. Again, this card's played win rate when we went over the worst cards was also quite high in conjunction with this. So look out, do not sleep on this combo. It might be pretty relevant and also frustrating. Most undead aggro decks have been underperforming to what we expected. Our changes here to encourage exploration of these archetypes. We just discussed potential changes to undead neutral cards, but opted to target the classes patch instead. So maybe they'll buff some undead neutrals if they still suck, I guess. Vengeful Walloper goes to 6 mana. I don't think Outcast Demon Hunter has a shot. 1 more mana on this ain't gonna change anything, but in the future might be relevant. Energy Shaper, as predicted, goes to a 3 mana 3/4, so it loses a health but it gains a mana, so you can curve out and you can play Vast Wisdom on 2 mana because that goes to 2, and then do your whole scam where you transform all spells in your hand to ones that cost 2 more. So Casino Mage just got their big high roll buffed. I don't know if it'll be good enough. I hope not, because if it's meta, that's like super toxic, but we'll see. We'll probably be trying it out on stream later today. By the way, I will be streaming later today if you want to come check out. We'll try and play other things other than Death Knight, but no promises there. Time Warden goes from 4 to 3 mana. Again, a huge buff. You could play this on 3 and then go into your 4 attack or 4 mana dragons and get that snowball going, because you have the battle cry until the end of your next turn. Dragons you summon gain Taunt Divine Shield, or if you have like 10 mana, you play Time Warden and you can slip in more dragons than before. So these are huge buffs. I think Energy Shaper, Time Warden, the priest buffs, they're huge. They're not minor. Like, you might laugh at 1 mana, but when they're like snowball effects or like game winning effects, buffing by 1 mana is really, really insane. Asvedon going to a 3/4 with Taunt, that's also significant. So now you cast a spell or copy the spell that your opponent played, but you also get taunt and premium stats. So this card, which was decent, just got really good for warrior. I don't know if it really fixes problems for warrior, but the other classes are being dialed back, so maybe. Asphodon, probably a really damn good card. It's predicted disruptive spellbreaker, getting an extra health, making it a little bit harder to kill. More disruptive, so also very good. And holy crap, they listened to me on the last stand. I said this card at 4 was a joke. It could be like 1-2 mana or something. It's 1 mana with a big caveat. Mana Thirst 7, double its stats. So when you get to 7 mana, then you double its stats. So it does get buffed, but it also kind of gets nerfed that you have to wait a long time. You can't really outright scam with it. Because, yeah, I don't know. In some ways, this card might be worse. I have no idea. Because you really want, like, 1 mana draw taunt minion's still not that great. It really isn't. But doubling its stats, you have to wait till 7 mana. So I actually think this card's still unplayable garbage. I really do. But it's a better flavor. I still like my suggestion. 4 mana, same thing. But Mana Thirst 7 or 8, double its stats again. That I thought would have been rad. But maybe game breaking. So another big buff here. Nelly's pirate ship, the appendage, will now add pirate crew to your hand that costs 2 less, not 1. So no 1 mana Mr. Smite that costs 2 less. So good for like a pirate warrior deck that gets like a bunch of 2 or 3 mana pirates and can play all of them. I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps all that much. It might just be a buff for Rogue when they get their random Colossal from what the 5-drop there. So yeah, Remornia, love this card. It's going to a 5/10. I don't know if it's enough to make it work, but please, this card is so cool. And yeah, so now you get 5 on the rush. You'll get 5 attack on the weapon. It's like double, it's more than just 1 attack, really. It's like +2 attack if you look at it, and you can upgrade it and do stuff. Hopefully it works out. And Warrior seems to be the class that needs the most help in the current meta. We've given the most buffs here, but I feel like not the most powerful buffs. With Last Stand, we wanted to feel it more impactful and flexible. We have a great new mechanic in Mana Thirst that gives us that kind of flexibility. This isn't the type of change we normally do, but this was a good opportunity for us to make this card a little bit fresher, more interesting. Basically talking about Last Stand, just that they don't normally rework. They rework the card. They rarely do that. It's super rare. We're also making a few changes to some older, exciting cards. So that's all the nerfs. That's all the buffs. There's Battleground changes. We're not going to go over that. We talked enough. I will link this in the comments below if you want to take a look. If undeads are slightly less broken, they look a little less broken here. They banned To the Front from deck building and card updates in Duels, and they also updated, there's also some hero power updates as well for Duels. Scourging is 1 mana, Illidari Strike 1 mana, Harvest Time 3 mana, Frost Shards back to 1 mana, thank you. Call of Madness is 1 mana, Bitter Cold got nerfed, so that was my last big complaint for Duels. It was that, and Signature Treasure updates. They nerfed Glaciax, it's a 3-attack, thank god, that was just dumb. Wings of Glaciax got nerfed as well. Crimson, there's a bunch of changes here for Duels, so I'm not, again, I won't go into super detail, but they look really good. My big problem with Duels, though, is the fact that the buckets just suck. I can't stand the buckets. You just get the crappiest cards all the time. But there's a lot of changes here, so take a look. It's mostly to like treasures and stuff, but the big problems I had with Duels, Bitter Cold in particular and Glaciax, both got hit. So that's really relevant. So there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoy the changes. We'll see what the meta look like. We'll report on it as it develops. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.